Hey you guys, it's Tyler, also known as Cottage Mercantile on Poshmark and Instagram. Thank you guys for joining me today. Today I am doing part one of a three-part series about my tips and tricks when it comes to thrifting and sourcing. Today I'm going to kind of cover everything that I use before I go sourcing and thrifting. So my first tip, and it's probably my favorite tip out of all the tips I'll give in this entire series, is going to be knowing what sells around you before it gets in the thrift stores. When you're thrifting, you are thrifting through stuff that is donated by locals, so they're buying local usually. This day and age, we do have online shopping, so we do get brands from everywhere, but a large portion of what is donated to your local thrift stores comes from what people are buying from the brick and mortars around your area. And it's really important to know what brands those bricks and mortars are selling. They may not be the typical brands that we see other resellers posting on Instagram or sharing in their YouTube haul videos because we live in a different geographic area. I live in a very cold area with hot summers, so I may not be getting the brands that someone who, say, is thrifting in Florida where it's sunny and hot all the time, and they're gonna have a very wide variety of summer and spring items. I am gonna have a very wide variety of winter items and summer items. So it's really important before I go out, knowing what brands are being sold at the brick and mortars because that's what's going to be donated. So I look at the brands that these brick and mortars are selling, and I look at the price points, and I also look at the resale value of them. That way, when I'm out, I can look for those items and take those home and sell those items, because what sells for another reseller and is easily accessible to them is not necessarily going to always be easily accessible to me. And by doing this, I'm able to grab a large quantity of really great brands that are around me and sell those, while also sometimes finding some of the other brands that other resellers sell. This tip is also really helpful for when you're traveling. So when I travel to a new place and I know that I'm gonna go thrifting, or usually on vacation, I wanna hit up a couple thrift stores, I'm gonna look up what items those sell. An example would be I visit Lake Tahoe often, and it is an outdoorsy kind of vacation spot where in the winter everyone is skiing and snowboarding, and in the summer everyone is swimming and hiking. So I know when I go to Tahoe and I go thrifting, I'm looking for those ski snowboarding brands and those summer outdoors hiking brands. Not the brands that I would necessarily be looking for when I'm back home, because they may not be as popular here where I live, but they're very popular up there in this resort style, outdoorsy style place. I can take that information and apply it to every place I visit, and I can maximize the amount of stuff that I'm able to pick up because I have a much more broad knowledge of what is being sold in that area and what is available to me. My second tip is creating a brands list. This really helps when you're out thrifting, and sometimes you'll find yourself without cell phone service. I know that some of my thrift stores are kind of like a dungeon. I might be in a basement, I might be in an attic of some business, and my phone's not working, I'm not able to look up comps. So what I did, especially in the beginning when I first started thrifting and selling, was I created a brands list. I took, from tip number one, I took brands that I had looked up that were sold at brick and mortars in my local area. I also include brands that I see other resellers post on their Instagram and YouTube videos. You can create that list on your phone. I actually had like a moleskin notebook that I could just fit in my pocket. I liked being able to just like grab that book and take notes and write stuff down. I also, when I would write down the brands, I'd put a $sign next to it. And the $sign signified to me how much I really wanted to spend on that brand. So if it had $1 next to it, I would know that I really shouldn't spend more than $5 on that item. If it had $2 next to it, I knew that I could spend up to about $10 on that item and feel very comfortable about that. And then so on in $5 increments per $sign. It just really helped being able to just open that up and know, okay, this is a brand, I haven't heard of it before, but it is on my list and I've got $2 on it, the item's $8, I'm good to go. It makes it really easy when searching for comps because you kind of pre-done it. and then adding notes to it. So sometimes I'll be like, this brand, most things aren't great, but the jacket by this brand is fantastic. So I'll put jackets, check mark, check mark, check mark, like grab the jackets from this brand. So my third tip would be knowing your thrift stores on multiple levels. The first level being knowing where all your thrift stores are in town. I have a map of all my thrift stores. I mark what time they open and what time they close so that I can kind of create like a trajectory plan of if I'm going to do like a day-long sourcing trip and I want to hit all of them. While also doing that, I was able to find out when they had sales days. I signed up for emails, and if they had loyalty programs, I signed up for those as well, so that I was always prepared when I went to the thrift stores, knowing that, okay, on this day at this thrift store, they do 50% off, or on this day, this color's half off. It really just kind of depended on the thrift store. So knowing your thrift stores before you're going out allows you to really maximize your thrifting experience and getting the best deals in clothing possible. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of my 3-part series of tips and tricks for thrifting and sourcing. Next week, I'm gonna cover tips and tricks while actually outsourcing, a couple of things that I find really beneficial to me. And then the final clip is going to be about knowing your thrift stores and going much more into detail about how you can utilize knowledge of your thrift stores to maximize your thrifting experience. If you guys also have tips and tricks that you use before you go thrifting, comment down below, let me know. I hope that my tips and tricks today really, I hope that you're able to take these and use them into your sourcing strategy. Sometimes, and I often say this, take what one person says and figure out how to make it work for you, and that way you can absolutely succeed at thrifting and sourcing. Don't forget, you guys, the links for my Instagram and Poshmark are down below. Make sure to comment and subscribe.